the Spirit all day long. Oh, yeah, hey, yeah. Oh, yeah, hey, yeah. Oh, yeah, hey, yeah. Hallelujah. Oh, yeah, hey, yeah. Oh, yeah, hey, yeah. Oh, yeah, hey, yeah. Hallelujah. Oh, yeah, hey, yeah. Hallelujah.
David? Sean, that was beautiful. And it's David? And I'm David. Okay, David and Shonda. So it's so nice to have you here. We do indeed have some great musicians here in the Austin area. My name is David Old, and I'm delighted to be here. I'm so thankful that Tony asked me to speak while he was away while he and Julie were away taking a well-deserved rest. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a ministerial student. I'm just about to finish up my last semester up at Unity Village, and I'll be graduating and being ordained a Unity minister next June. I'll be doing 2 church internships next year in the winter. Starting in January, I'll be doing my first church internship in San Francisco, which I'm looking forward to that very much. And then my second internship, church internship, I'll be doing in Warren, Michigan. And Warren is right outside of Detroit. And one of our largest Unity churches, Renaissance Unity, is there. And for those who know a lot of Unity history, it was Jack Boland's Church of Today at one time. Jack Boland is the one that brought us the masterminding and also a complaint-free world. And, but anyway, he started that church, and it was called Church of Today, and it's now called Renaissance Unity. And there is just a dynamic black minister there by the name of Jim Lee, and I am really looking forward to being an intern with him. This morning, someone texted me, and I thought it was appropriate for what I'm talking about in a way. Anyway, it says, "My living will." Last night, my kids and I were sitting in the living room, and I said to them, I never want to live in a vegetative state, dependent on some machine and fluids from a bottle. If that ever happens, just pull the plug. And so they got up and they unplugged my computer and took my wine away. So what I'm talking about today is life without limits. And I want to just refer to our second unity principle, which is we are spiritual beings, created in the image and the likeness of God. And as such, we need to know that as spiritual beings, we are unlimited. And it's by living from that knowledge that we are spiritual beings. Spiritual beings, not human beings having a spiritual experience, but we're human beings having a human. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. And there's a big difference there. You know, are we human having a spiritual experience, or are we spiritual beings? And first and foremost, our reality is that we are spiritual beings. And so we need to know this truth and live from that truth, that we're spiritual beings created in the image and likeness of God. And as such, we are unlimited. You know, there's a temple there was a temple in ancient Greece. You can still see the ruins. It was the Temple of Delphi. And people would go there. There was a priestess that would give oracles, and people would go there to be advised. It was a place of knowledge. People knew that they could go there for wisdom. And as you entered the temple, carved up at the top of the entry was know thyself. Okay, know thyself. The ancient Greeks believed this was the beginning of all knowledge, of all wisdom, to know yourself. Plato, I don't know how many times Plato talked just about that little maxim of know yourself. Socrates spoke of it. Now, it's not always easy. Even Socrates, you read of Socrates in Plato's Phaedra, and he describes Socrates as describing that, this is what he said. I'll go ahead and read it. He says, Socrates uses the maxim, know thyself, as his explanation to Phaedrus for why he has no time for mythology or any other far-flung topics, okay? Socrates had no interest in religion, mythology. He just had no real interest in it. He says, but I have no leisure, he says, I have no leisure time for that at all. And the reason, my friend, is this: I am not yet able, as the Delphic inscription has it, to know myself. So it seems to me ridiculous when I do not yet know that to investigate irrelevant things. So for Socrates, the most important thing was to know yourself. And here's a Buddhist scholar says this: just like Socrates said, know thyself, so in Buddhism, the first step is to know oneself. That is the first step in Buddhism, to know oneself. But not only is it the first step, it is also the last step too. It is the alpha and omega of Buddhism. Charles Fillmore, one of our founders, said in Talks on Truth, know thyself. Know who and what you are, where you came from, what you are doing here, and where you are going. If you want to know all of this, meditate upon the I am. And that I am is your Christ nature, that Christ presence that dwells, that truth of who you are, that Christ consciousness. Dwell on that, meditate on that, and then you will know yourself. I'm getting much of this talk, the information, what inspired me for this talk was a book by Michael A. Singer. The book is The Untethered Soul. I highly recommend it. It's The Untethered Soul, The Journey Beyond Yourself. And I get most of this talk, what inspired me was chapter 13, which is Far, Far Beyond. That's the name of the chapter, Far, Far Beyond. And he says, the word beyond captures the true meaning of spirituality. He says, that's going past where you are. It's not staying in your current state. And so when you constantly go beyond yourself, there are no limitations. So if you constantly go beyond yourself, you escape all limitations. Boundaries and limitations only exist when you stop going beyond. We live in a spiritual universe. We live in an unlimited universe. So beyond is infinite. Beyond is infinite, and infinity is in all directions. So the boundaries that we set up, these create the appearances of the finiteness in infinite space. So things seem finite because we have these mental boundaries that we set up, okay? I mean, the truth is that everything is infinite, okay? It takes you, forever. If you start walking, you can walk forever, okay? And if you shoot a rocket off into space and you had the fuel, you could just go forever. So, but we're the ones that take this infinite distance, or this infinity, and we break it up into inches, and we break it up into feet, and we break it up into miles. So we have these mental constructs where we break our infinity, the truth of what is, into little units. So to go beyond, you must keep going past those limits that you put on things. But this really requires sort of a change in the core of your being. Okay, right now you're using your analytical mind, and you're breaking up this world, this infinite world, you're breaking it up into little pieces, into little objects that you can wrap your mind around. And then you arrange all these little objects that are mental construct, and you arrange them and you put them into relationships with each other. And so you think you have it all figured out, okay? You know everything is supposed to be, you really think you know where everything is supposed to be. You have it all worked out in your head, and you really think you even know what the future is sometimes, I think. But Singer points out, he says, your views, your opinions, your preferences, your concepts, your goals, and your beliefs are all ways of bringing the infinite universe down to the finite, where you can feel a sense of control. So since the analytical mind cannot handle the infinite, you create an alternative reality, finite thoughts that can remain fixed within your mind. And you have taken this whole perfect whole, and you've broken it into pieces and selected a handful of these pieces to be put together in a certain way within your mind. And this mental model has become your reality. You must now struggle day and night to make the world fit your model. And you label everything that doesn't fit as either wrong or bad or unfair. Okay. So to go beyond, you have to know why you built that model. Okay? And the best way to understand this is to study what happens when the model doesn't work. And we have ample opportunity to learn that. Anyway, so have you ever built your whole world or your whole model of life predicated upon maybe another person's behavior or the permanence of a relationship? And and then have you ever had that foundation like just pulled out from underneath you? Somebody leaves you, somebody dies, something goes wrong. I mean, something just really shakes that model that you've built, just shakes it to the core, okay? And it's scary. It really is. It's scary. And this entire view of your life and of the way things are supposed to be, it just sort of starts crumbling. And it is. It's very scary. And so you panic, and you try to hold it all together. And what you realize is this model of reality that you've created is just tenuous at best. But here is the good news, okay? What you experience when this happens, okay, and most of us have this happen to us in our lives. One of the most important this is one of the most important learning experiences in your life. That's the good news, because you can learn so much when everything gets just sort of, the foundation, the carpet is just pulled right out from underneath you. You come face to face with why or what made you build the model. I mean, what made you build that model of reality? The level of discomfort and disorientation you experience, it is frightening, okay? And you struggle to get some sense of balance. And you try to pull, but what you're trying to do is you're trying to take this mental model and just sort of squish it around everything that's happening so that you can feel comfortable again, so you can be in that comfort zone. So if you want to see why you do things, then Singer has a suggestion. Don't do them. Okay? If you want to know why you do something, don't do it, because you'll learn real quick. For example, if you want to know why you smoke, well, quit smoking. Okay? I quit smoking 7, 8 times or something before I finally quit smoking. And what you learn is when you quit smoking is that you get real uncomfortable. You do, okay? You get real uncomfortable. You get real agitated. And if the urge is there, and if you're not doing something about it, it's just downright uncomfortable, okay? Okay, so there is a reason for everything we do. There's a reason why we overeat. There's a reason why we dress the way we do. There's a reason why we comb our hair the way we do. Hey, wake up some morning and go out. Don't fix your hair. For you ladies, don't put on any makeup. Don't comb your hair. Just go out. Just go out just like you get up in the morning and see how that feels. You're going to know real fast why you do the things that you do, because now some people can go out. I mean, I look real strange in the morning with my hair, I tell you. Some people can do that. I mean, you go outside and you see people like that have their hair all such a way. It's a little difficult for me to go like that. And I'm sure with you ladies, it's the same way. But anyway, so if you want to know why you do something, well, just don't do it and you'll find out, okay? Okay, so here's the thing. We are constantly trying to stay in our comfort zone, okay? You struggle to keep people and places and things in a manner that supports your model that you've created. And if they rattle the cage, if they do things a little bit differently and everything, then your mind says you've got to do something about that. You can't let them act that way. That's not the way people should act, okay? So really, when people start acting outside of your expectations, you really do start having this mental conversation within your mind, okay? But anyway, it really doesn't matter what you end up doing. It's all about, what it all boils down to is you trying to get back to that comfort zone. You want to be comfortable. But this zone is finite, okay? It's finite. And all attempts to stay within that keeps you finite. And we're talking about being unlimited, because we are spiritual creations. We are spiritual beings. And as spiritual beings, we are unlimited. But we feel comfortable in our finite little zones, our little zones of comfort. Okay. So going beyond always means letting go of the effort to keep things within your definite limits, okay, or your defined limits. That's what comfortable is. It's just keeping everything within your defined limits. So there's two ways you can live your life, okay? You can devote your life to staying in your comfort zone and trying to fit everything into your limited model, or you can work on being free, okay? Freeing yourself from the limits of your model, okay? What would you need to have so that you felt like you had enough and that you would never have to worry about it again? Yeah. What would you have to have so that you felt like you had just enough and you didn't have to worry about it anymore? Well, let's see. We want a house, okay? We want a shelter. We wouldn't want to be living on the street, so we want a house, okay? And that house, we would like to have running water and sewer and electricity. You know, in Texas, air conditioning for sure. If you lived up north, definitely you'd want heat. You'd want 3 meals a day. I think you'd want that, you know, to feel like you're okay. You'd want clothes to wear. You'd want your medical care to be taken care of. Now, maybe this is financial freedom for you, but it's also a definition for prison. I mean, in prison, you have everything taken care of, okay? You do. And no one's going to break in. You know? So everything is provided, but this is a definition of prison. And so okay, so why wouldn't we want to live in prison? Everything's taken care of, okay? No, we don't want, we are divine beings. And as divine beings, we are creators. Spirit wants us to be out there. out there pushing boundaries, out there exploring, out there doing new things, out there growing. This is what Spirit wants us to do. And it's a lot more comfortable to just stay holed up in our house and watching television and not get out there and get our hands dirty. It is more comfortable. I mean, we have this, it's sort of built in. We want to stay safe. We want to feel comfortable. Okay, it's so easy, but Spirit is going to have the last word. Spirit is going to be encouraging you to go out and to do things, to be of service. So being in prison, it may sound very frightening to you, okay? But, not all prisons are made of bars and of brick and concrete, okay? There are things that confine us that don't limit our bodies, but they limit our consciousness, okay? And they're mental constructs. They can confine you in that mental construct just as well as bars can keep you in a prison. And those mental constructs, and we know in Unity that our thinking creates our reality. That is one of our Unity principles. How we think, what we think about, that is creating our reality on a daily basis. So this consciousness that we have, if we don't watch it, it can confine us, it can restrict us, it can limit us, and we're limited. It does it all the time. And the devious thing about it is these boundaries, these limitations, they're invisible. They're mental constructs, and so many of us go through life just totally oblivious to these mental constructs that we have that are truly limiting us. And the reason you're willing to stay in this prison of your own making is because it's comfortable. Because you're afraid to get out of it. Okay? So your comfort zone it's very familiar. And so you feel comfortable there. And beyond is the unknown. Okay, it's scary out there. I mean, it's the unknown. We're not sure about it. We're so much more comfortable when we know exactly what's going to be taking place. We get into our old habits. We get into our ruts. But when you truly awaken spiritually, what you realize is that you are in a prison of your own making. So when we go and get into a spiritual path, we wake up to that and realize that we are in a prison of our own making. And we realize that we barely can move in this box that we've boxed ourselves into. And again, it's just a mental box, but it still confines us. And you're constantly, when a prisoner goes up to the bars, he's confined. He knows he can't go. That stops him, okay? Either the bars or the brick wall or the concrete wall, that stops him. But you're constantly hitting your limits of these mental constructs. And you hit it when you reach the end of your comfort zone, okay? You start feeling uncomfortable. That's when you know that you're in your cage or you're in your prison, okay? When you go to do something and it's just uncomfortable. So that's important to recognize that, to be awake and aware about where you are uncomfortable. What is it that is causing you to not go forward? What is stopping you from growing? I mean, you're afraid to tell people sometimes what you really think. You're too self-conscious sometimes to freely express yourself. And you see that and sometimes you think you have to be on top of everything. And why is all of this? Why is it? There's really no reason. And because you've set these limits yourself, and we each set our own individual limits. And just as there's different people, there's going to be different limits for each and every one of us. So if you don't stay in your prison, you get scared, okay? You feel hurt. You feel threatened, okay? That's your prison. And so you know your limits of your cage when your psyche starts to resist, okay? When your bars are the limits, when you start feeling uncomfortable, when you start reaching the end of your comfort zone and that outer boundary of it, and you will know when you're beginning to become you'll feel the resistance. You know, it used to be that we had to build fences for dogs. Okay, I have dogs, and you can now get these electronic fences, okay? They bury the lines in the ground. So there's no ugly fence. You put a collar on the dog. You're probably all aware of this. So you put a collar on the dog, and what happens is you don't see a fence, but the dog will go up to the boundary of that fence, that buried line there, and it will get a nasty shock. Okay, it gets a shock, and it scares it. It makes it yelp. And so it learns that if it goes over here too close to that boundary, it gets a nasty shock. So it stays away. And so that's sort of the way our comfort boundaries are. If we get too close to that boundary, we feel a pain, and we sort of back off, and it keeps us from going forward. So it's the fear of the pain, it's the fear of the discomfort that stops us, just like it is the fear of the pain that stops the dog. So the boundaries of your prison is what makes your world appear finite and temporal. Again, we live in an infinite universe, but our boundaries, our mental boundaries, is what makes us appear like we are in a finite situation. But the infinite and the eternal are just outside of the limits of your homemade prison. It's on the other side. And you know, a dog, a brave dog, or maybe one that's really motivated by a squirrel, okay, will go right through that, all right? They'll learn that if they maybe go real quick, they're just going to get a little bit of a zap, and they realize that, well, they didn't kill me. And so smart dogs will, they'll overcome that, okay? So spirituality is our commitment to go beyond, okay? No matter what it takes, okay? Going beyond yourself at every moment. That's what spirituality is all about. It's going beyond always and having no limits and being the best, as one of my teachers says, being the best Christ you can be. So you are able to break out of these mental limits that you have, these mental boundaries that you have. And if you really think about it, you can start loving your edges. These are your growing edges. And remember, growth, the growth edges of any plant, it's very tender, okay? I mean, it's very fragile. That those growing tips are very, very, very tender. And your growing edges are very, very tender. And it's going to be a little painful as you grow. But as you allow yourself to work through the pain, and pain is part of growth, okay? I mean, Jesus didn't say we're going to have a pain-free world, okay? And growth involves some pain. It's not easy. But it makes us grow. And you know you've heard the story about the chicken and who's hatching out of its egg, and someone, you know, tried to help it out, okay? And it killed the chicken because the little chick needed to struggle with opening that egg. That was part of the growth process. And as it struggles to get out, the blood begins to circulate into that little chick's body, and it's able to survive when it gets out. But if you help it, it hasn't gone through the process, which is part of life. So whenever you feel some discomfort, then I suggest that whatever it is, just relax into it, and just gently go ahead and take that step. Relax and just gently take another step. It might be a little painful, but it's not going to kill you. And you're going to grow, okay? You're going to grow, and you're going to become the best Christ you can be. You're going to be the best person that you can be. You can be the spiritual being that you are. And then one day, when you absolutely least expect it, you'll just fall right into the infinite, and you'll be in just such a wonderful, comfortable place, because nothing at that point is going to stop you. So God bless you, and thank you so much for having me here. So I invite all of you at this time to settle in your seats and get comfortable. Close your eyes if you'd like. Just bring your attention to this place and this time. Drop any thoughts that you might have of what you need to do, or after this service, or what you did before. We just bring ourselves to this moment, this time, this place. And knowing that Spirit is indeed here. Indeed, we do live and move and have our being in Spirit. We are enfolded in Spirit. We are Spirit, one with that Spirit, one with each other. And so we settle into that truth, our oneness with Spirit and with each other. And we know as we settle into that quiet space within, we know that we are one. And because we are one with Spirit, Spirit that is omnipotent, Spirit that is omniscient, Spirit that is omnipresent, we know that whatever wisdom, whatever guidance we need, whatever love, whatever peace we need, it is readily available. All we have to do is just open our hearts, open our minds to receive it. And so we take this time right now to open our hearts and open our minds to that ever-loving Spirit. And we also, at this time, we ask Spirit to give us the wisdom to understand where our growing edges are, to show us where we need to let go and let God, to know where we are just tender and need the strength and need the courage to step forward and continue on our spiritual journey and to grow, because that is what our job is as spiritual beings, is to grow into the very best Christ that we can be the light of the world. For as Jesus said, he said, I am the light of the world, but he also said, you are the light of the world. And we are here to be that light. And we are so grateful. So grateful for the unity movement, for this unity in the heart of Austin, for each and every one of us here, for each member, for each guest. We are grateful, grateful for your presence, grateful for your involvement in this spiritual community as we help each other to grow spiritually, as we help each other to learn the principles that Jesus taught, as we help each other to become the very best Christ we can be. So we take all of this with a huge sense of gratitude, and we go into the silence and just allow Spirit to commune with us. And we'll just stay there just for a while in the silence. So with hearts full of gratitude, we do right now bring our attention back to this time and this place. Thankful for all that Spirit has taught us, has shown us, and thankful for that peace beyond understanding. And so we say, thank you, Spirit. And so it is. Amen.